Everyone, I am thirteene, and we're going to be revisiting Living Twin today. So I actually recorded this deck 2 weeks ago. My opponent disconnected. They were gone for like 15 minutes. When I came back, I didn't record, or I didn't unmute my microphone. So half the video was dead. Ended up making a couple of really bad punts. Plus, this deck actually needed Faithless Looting a little more than I cared to admit. So ended up just re-recording it. So, what this deck is trying to do is we've actually played against the blue-red Living End deck a couple of times, and that deck is interesting. It can win basically instant speed through its attackers. It gets a lot of fresh redraws, but you end up playing Draft Chaff, and it really doesn't do a whole lot. And so, what we're trying to do with this variant is this is kind of a homebrew. I saw somebody on something a little similar to it, but I don't think they actually had the living end. So this actually might just be considered a homebrew even 2 weeks after I had tried to record the concept. But we're going to be trying to win off of the Kiki Jiki Deceiver Exarch combo. So first of all, a little history lesson. So we are going to look at Splinter Twin from 2011. So I'm on the unbanned Splinter Twin train. It was a great deck. It helped keep a lot of unfair combos in check. It forced your opponent to interact with you or you lost. And what this deck did was very busted. So it is very strong, and the people who are unfamiliar with it probably won't understand some of the design decisions here. So I just want to take a second on it. First of all, this is a blue-red build. Almost everything in here is blue and red, with the one exception of the breeding pools. I believe there's a stomping grounds. Oh well. But you end up getting Ancient Grudge in the sideboard. Wow, apparently even Channel Fireball's having some issues with their split cards. So, Ancient Grudge. Destroy target artifact with flashback. So you get 2 activations out of that. And so what this deck does is it tries to use Kiki Jiki and or Splinter Twin to make a copy of Deceiver Exarch and or Pestermite and untap the permanent that created it, make an infinite chain, and swing out for lethal. This is the combo that's going off of Vanifair Pod. It's going off of Goryo's As Foretold. It's seen some play in just random blue-red builds. Like, this is still around, so most people are familiar with it. But this ends up leading you to some interesting design decisions, like you have 2 Dispels main board. I actually really like this card in blue decks for sideboard because it really shores up the control matchup. If your opponent pays 4 mana for Cryptic Command, Dispel is just fantastic. But it also puts Disrupting Shoal into your deck to try to get some of those if you end up tapping out to just try to go for the win. Pact of Negation to try to close out the game if you're going for it. The Ancient Grudges actually target the Spellskite. So if you go to make a copy of something or put Splinter Twin on something, you target the Spellskite and it kind of fizzles the combo. Hey, Alpha Titan. But because Spellskite was so good against this deck, they end up splashing green just for the Ancient Grudges in the sideboard. And you end up tuning your deck to the turn that you try to go off. So our deck is trying to play a little bit more of the tempo game plan that is what made Splinter Twin so strong. And even if you don't combo off, you're still going to be chipping in points of damage. Most of the time you get your Snapcaster beats in. Snap Bolt Snap is still or Bolt Snap Bolt is still a thing. But we're trying to do this through the graveyard because Splinter Twin is banned and Kiki Jiki costs a lot. So the concept of this deck is going to be a lot like Goryo's As Foretold, but we cut the black for the most part. We still have Living End, but we never pay cost for it. We ended up cutting the Goryo's Vengeance, and we cut Grizzlebrand in order to make room for Lightning Bolts and Remands and just a bunch of the flex cards that have a lot of power in this matchup. And so we're going to be playing a blue-red tempo control list, and we're going to be able to draw 3 cards off of Ancestral Vision, Hopefully, if things go perfectly right, we can start off with a turn 1 Faithless Looting, discarding Deceiver Exarch and Kiki-Jiki, turn 2 Electro Dominance for 0, free cast Living End, and win on turn 2. So this deck's going to have a lot of power. In our sideboard, we're going to be able to board into Keranos and Ral and basically just play an attrition matchup, just be a standard blue-red control deck. We also have a lot of power in this list that we actually get to run a couple of Blood Moon's main board. This deck has some real power to it. And you can just win with a combo at instant speed, so you get a lot of variability there. So enough of the history lesson, really quick card choices. This is the combo. Kiki-Jiki makes copy of Deceiver Exarch. Copy comes in, untaps Kiki-Jiki, rinse, repeat, infinite damage. We have As Foretold Living End, As Foretold Ancestral Vision. If this hits on the battlefield, we can start casting our tempo cards for free. It also allows us to cast these we get to cast the suspend cards for free, so we can draw 3 or clear the board or bring back our combo from the graveyard. And then we have Faithless Looting, Izzet Charm, Lightning Axe, all available to us that we can actually take advantage of our graveyard, even if we don't see it. Just enables our graveyard. And that's the deck. So hopefully sticking to blue-red's going to give us a little bit more power, a little bit more of interaction. We actually get to control what our opponent's doing while holding up the combo. They have to respect what we're doing, and that's what made Splinter Twin so strong. But we got paired up for our first match. This deck definitely likes to play. And funny enough, we could have a turn 1 win here. I think I want to suspend the Ancestral, though. It's more likely that we won't see the 2 cards that we need to off the Faithless Looting. Alpha Titan, I saw you were playing Overwatch. If you're interested, you can feel free to join me in chat channel. Alright, so we're likely playing against Big Red Prison because, yeah, all the fun stuff. So I actually want to incentivize them to try to go for a turn 2 Blood Moon here. I'm actually going to go get a Steam Vents. And the problem is if I run out Ancestral here and they Chalice, it won't resolve, so I think I'm just going for the Faithless Looting. Yeah, Chalice is going to be really bad for this hand. I think we're getting rid of these 2 for now, and we can see what opponent's trying to speed out. Alright, looks like Chalice. Yep. Alright, so the read on Faithless Looting was good. Izzet Charm is quite good. It'll allow us to counter if they end up trying to ritual into a Chandra or something. If not, we can just loot. And then Electro Dominance could win if we end up seeing a Kiki-Jiki off the loot. Although, I got rid of the other red source. That wasn't very smart. And we drew one anyway. Alright. I'm actually a little inclined to Electro Dominance just to draw cards here. I probably shouldn't have fetched this yet, but that's fine. Our opponent's not going to put us under pressure for a second. And if they do run out something like a Rabble Master, we'll just let them keep the Goblin and kill it. Yep, there's the Rabble Master. That's fine. Probably shouldn't have taken the shock here. That was just bad sequencing. It's taking me a second to get warmed up. First game of the night. And there's Kiki-Jiki. So I want to do this now just to make sure that they don't get to keep the creature. And we also need to find a way to get Kiki-Jiki into our graveyard. So we're going to cast Ancestral targeting us, draw 3 cards, kill their Rabble Master. And funny enough, we could have Living End there and then just hardcast Kiki-Jiki. Wow, I really needed a warm-up game or something. Did they draw a Ritual? Yep, there's the Ritual. Probably another Rabble Master. Ooh, Hazaret. Well, they haven't emptied their hand yet, so it's not a problem. Looking for an As Foretold or Electro Dominance now. I'm pretty sure this will get countered. The CMC of the card's still 1, but we're casting it for 3. I know that this conversation's come up more than once on this stream. Yep, it's countered. Alright. Then I assume we're just good to ship it back. I don't actually want to run out Kiki Jiki here. If I end up seeing a Deceiver Exarch or a Pestermite, we'll just win. Chalice on 0. Yep, not looking great for us so far. And they can activate Hazoret at end step, activate it next turn. So I could run out Kiki Jiki as a temporary blocker, but we can't Living End. I wanted to see if they were going to discard their card. It's fine. They had the win there. I was just trying to see if I could get a little more information. So definitely want the Abrades. Quite happy with the negates. It's possible that this is a Keranos matchup, just because they're going to be prison and slow. Ral not being able to kill Hazoret's kind of a problem. But they're definitely going to be chalicing on 0, so we need to be able to handle that. That's why the Abrades are coming in. Bolt needs to stay in for the Rabble Masters and... I'm forgetting the name of the new one. The Mentor Rabble Master. Blood Moon definitely comes out. Maybe not the negates. That might just be boarding too hard. It looks like they're on the Goblin plan, not the Planeswalker plan. And I could see just cutting a Faithless Looting. It's bad on both sides. That did feel a little bit like rough draws there. We will keep this. And because Living End is so strong for us, I'm going to incentivize that they try to Chalice on 1, so I'm going to suspend the Ancestral Vision. Oh, that's the suspend cost. Oh my gosh, I am not in the right headspace at the moment. This costs 0, so Chalice wouldn't matter. Alright, well it is possible they play Blood Moon, so I am just going to get an island here. And then we can go ahead and suspend that, and if they run out Chalice on 0, they run out Chalice on 0. We'll just have to fetch for a Braid. Radiant Fountain for life gain. Alright, I kind of want a Faithless Looting here. Do we want to try to win the hard way? If we try to win the hard way, that means I have to keep all of my lands, and Lightning Bolt Izzet Charm's going away. I don't think I'm a fan of that. I think I'm good to discard these for now and see what opponent's up to. They're likely going to Ritual into a 3-drop. If they had Chalice, they probably would have run it out for 0 already. Ooh, and Electro Dominance is putting us very close. So timing here, you never counter the Ritual. You want to counter the payoffs so that they use more cards. We are definitely going to counter Chandra. Modes of Izzet Charm: counter target non-creature spell unless they pay 2. It deals 2 damage to target creature, or draw 2, discard 2. And that's game. Nope. I don't want that. I want that. So Living End going to bring all the creatures from our graveyard into play, and that's lethal. We'll see if the opponent makes us click through it. Nope. All right. So they are on the Chandra plan. Does that bring any more value on Negate? Negate would probably be over Remand. Remand after a ritual just feels fantastic. Remand also on their goblins for an extra turn feels pretty good. I think we're just going to keep it as is. Static Caster for the goblin tokens is probably another consideration. I think I'm at least willing to try one. If none of their goblins can attack in, we're going to be ahead by a pretty wide margin, so Remand for a Static Caster feels fair. This is so close. This does nothing against the Chalice on 0, though. I think this has to be a mulligan. We have so many enabling cards. Chalice on 1's going to hurt this, but I think it's the best we've got. I don't want Bolt just in case they're on Chalice on 1. Chalice on 0 is not a Chalice on 1. Do not need another Steam Vents, as foretold. Feels bad. We're not going to be casting anything for 0 for the current moment, and I'd prefer to draw another looting effect to get rid of some of these lands or a Deceiver Exarch so we can just win. Yep, Chalice on 1, so hoping to draw a Braid. Static Caster's pretty good edge for whatever we need. Eidolon. Alright, that's fine. So one of the things about our opponent's deck is they end up running a lot of top-end things like Chandra. They won't have Bolt or anything to interact with the Static Caster, so it's just a free block. The sequencing also told me that they didn't have any of the Rabblemaster Goblin creators, otherwise they would have cast it pre-combat. Ensnaring Bridge, cute. One of the reasons we brought Kronos in. We also would have really liked to have had Ral for that, but that's fine. So we can Electro Dominance for 4 and kill the Eidolon. I'd prefer to have something to follow it up with, but if it's posing any kind of a threat to us, we can always remove it without taking damage. Alright, and let's just go get our cuteness on. So I'm actually going to Kiki Jiki here and copy the Static Caster to kill the Eidolon. Now they won't be able to keep a creature on the battlefield. Static Caster should be able to take care of any of the goblins that come down. Sequencing there might have been better at instep. Oh, Anger's fine. There might be an argument to hold on to the Steam Vents there so that we can discard it with Is It Charm. But a lot of these aren't going to be castable, so we can do whatever we have to there. Hazoret's not going to be able to attack, but can start chipping in for damage. Now I think I will keep the Steam Vents. We're probably not going to be multi-spelling that hard. We have 4, 5, 6, 10, 14 land, so we could technically Electro Dominance twice and kill them. I don't think that's a road we want to go down, though. That just sounds painful. Basically looking for a braid. Kiki-Jiki 2 is cute. We can still technically win. So it'd be 3 untap a land, shocking steam vents, attack in with the combo. So I'm going to hang on to that for now. If we see a Pestermite or a Deceiver Exarch, we should be able to just take it. How badly do I want to kill that Simian Spirit Guide? It did actually significantly move up the clock. Yeah, so Simian Spirit Guide here doubled the clock. I'm going to have to Electro Dominance it. Ran out the land just because, I don't know, I can cast Kiki-Jiki at Instep if I need to, off Electro Dominance. And all these would be countered. I have no reason to put them into the graveyard. I'd prefer to get rid of the Faithless Lootings off the Izzet Charm. And we just keep drawing them. Alright, so opponent has us on a current 7-turn clock. Alright, so Eidolon's representing a virtual 2 and also a potential attacker. So we're going to take 2 for next turn. We're on a 3-turn clock now. And that 3-turn clock is allowing us to take a shock from Eidolon to get in a Deceiver Exarch or Pestermite. Lighthouse, fantastic draw here. Alright, so there's actually something that I'd want to be able to play and cast, as foretold is active, so I'm just going to go ahead and loot now. And, yeah. Seeing 2 cards a turn is good, though. It's at least going to allow us to start drawing into an out. But next turn, Kiki-Jiki has to block, and they have to not have a Chandra. Alright, there's the Pestermite. So, what's the best way to sequence this? I assume it's Pestermite, tap down a land. I can also Desolate Lighthouse, looking for a backup combo piece. Then that would allow me to... Yeah, I can put in 2 backup pieces at that point, so that seems fair. Discard Faithless Looting. Free land into play. This will allow me to at least tap down 2 things if it's required. Unfortunately, this is not Deceiver Exarch, so if they end up having a ritual and something to pitch to Hazoret, we'd just be dead at that point. No, they'd still be 1 mana shy. But they'd go down to 1 card in hand. So we are going to tap down the mountain. Then move to begin combat so that they have to actually use the mana. Alright, well, you're dead, so that's fine. Oh, okay. Well, that's bad. So none of these can... Alright, so that means that I have to upkeep, tap down all of their lands. I guess I can only tap down one, but... Okay, a couple of blockers. Turn off auto yields. Make a copy of Pestermite. And we're going to tap down another land, and then hopefully they have a 4-drop. So they can activate Hazoret and discard a card. But then they have to have drawn a land. Ah, they drew a land. Well, there's a Deceiver Exarch, but I don't think that actually helps anything. Because I'll just die from the Eidolon. Alright, I can draw a card, but... Yep, doesn't matter. Alright. Opponent can discard and kill us next turn. That was super unfortunate. Just a little too slow there. Lost to Big Red. Our first hand didn't see anything to actually discard, and our third hand was just a little bit on the slow side. Probably need a more non-zero number of artifact hate. Again, the original list from way back when had Ancient Grudges to get multiple activations out of. Because some of those cards are so bad for us. I'm good to keep this hand. The Faithless Looting is going to be a bit of a redraw, and we have our less common combo piece. And if it's burn, I'll feel bad, but this looks like a shock hand. Discard Kiki and Faithless Looting? No, we'll win if we get that Faithless Looting off, so just both Kiki Jikis. And it's burn. Alright, well, opponent knows what's up. We revealed a Living End. Fetch land here so that we can shuffle after Goblin Guide reveals something, then go get a bolt and kill it. We don't really need that Living End, and Serum Visions could help set us up to something, but I guess is it Charm? Although that's a cheaper activation for discarding. Yeah, it's going to be the Serum Visions. Alright, well, we got a land. Go grab Basic Mountain, Bolty Bolty. Thunder! Wow. All right. I'm happy to loot here. Wow. Okay. Well, we're hitting a point that we can hardcast Kiki-Jiki with our land, so that's what I'm currently looking at. We're going to be flashing back Faithless Looting first, but Boros Charm. Yep, down to 11. Opponent's going to be able to make a land drop, hit us with 3 spells. We're at a virtual 2. Something feels horribly wrong with our deck. We're running 22 lands, I believe. So it's 10, 13, 21 lands. Alright, opponent's on untap kill us. They have 4 cards. And Blood Moon does so much. Alright, so probably have to use Is It Charm defensively here. Actually, no, we could go for the win. We'd have to take 1 point of damage to go for the win, but we can go for the win. So, all right. I can't imagine what opponent has in hand. Like, they should have been able to kill us. Way overkill. Alright, again, I'm going to try to go for the win in case opponent's on nothing. Alright, that's enough. Opponent can kill us. We'd need to draw Electro Dominance or As Foretold, and they have 5 cards. So, Burn. Dispel's fantastic. Negate's alright. Pestermite loses some value because it dies to 1/2 of Syrian Blaze. Blood Moon is just awful. I think that's about it. We saw so many cards. I feel like we should be so favored in this matchup. And this has just about everything I'd want to see out of it. We have ways to free cast, pseudo removal, pseudo counterspell. Board clear. Electro Dominance likely going to be playing Ancestral here. Against Eidolon, I'm a little bit more inclined to actually just board clear here. Let's see if we draw a card and then we'll just clear the board. Alright, doesn't matter. We'll hit that. We're going to take 4 from this, but we'd be taking 4 regardless, so that's fine. As Foretold, doing its best Ancestral Recall Impersonator. And making some progress. Next turn, As Foretold's going to have this spell up. I think I'm on Faithless Looting because we are very close to winning here. These 2 can just go away. We have enough we have enough mana to hard cast Kiki-Jiki, so we are technically very close to winning here. Opponent's running out of gas here. Tap down Taylor. No chip damage for you. Remand feels bad. That should have been a cut. Alright, so I'm going to cast with As Foretold to loot. If we see Kiki Jiki, we can just win here. Given how this is currently looking, I might actually try to go for the legitimate win. Okay, so they have 2 cards in hand. Yeah, I think I have to let this go for now. There's Skull Crack, which means we're going to kill Taylor. Oh yeah, we already used the As Foretold, so have to hard mana here. This deck probably needs some number of Snapcaster Mages in it. Just make sure that the Bolt plan actually has some bearing to it. Don't need that. I'm actually good to recycle remands. They're a little low on mana. And Deceiver Exarch's definitely on block duty, just in case they have a hasty creature. Nope. Opponent not fetching is a little interesting. Oh, they're doing that for Syrian Blaze. That makes sense. Alright, now I'm on Faithless Looting. Kind of just want to get there. Do I want to spell? I think I do. I know that they have some number of counterspells in hand. Remand will at least draw me into it, and then I can actually hard counter. Tempo play is strong here. It'd be nice if I could be getting some chip damage in, but I'm just a little too low and they have too many cards, so I don't feel like that's the right decision. Does not feel good being at 8 with burn opponent with 5 cards in hand, but where is my Kiki Jiki at? I might want to loot here. Man, I've only seen one Faithless Looting too. Alright, well I think we're running it back to opponent. Time is not something you typically have against a burn opponent. So I need some interaction up for if I get Kiki Jiki and they try to kill him. Like that. Unfortunately, any of their like 2-mana spells are going to be very hard to counter with Izzet Charm. So as usual, moving to begin combat. Oh my gosh, that is stop on my turn. All right, well, Kiki's probably eating it here. Yep, there's the Searing Blaze, which means I'm going to Electro Dominance and kill Kiki Jiki, so that it doesn't work that way. I think I'm on loot. Try to get a hard counter. That almost works. That wasn't the right discard. Yep, we're just dead. We went through over half our deck. If they have any spell, we're dead anyway, but we can take out a Taylor in the meantime. I'm a little curious. Will that work? Yep, that's what I thought. All right, well, not a great showing as so far. The mono red decks are just being very mean. There might be some argument for some pseudo burn tech in the sideboard. I mean, we really should have just been able to handle that. Just took half our deck, though. Like, we went so many turns and we kept our opponent back. We just could not draw into our action. Living In took away all their creatures. Ancestral drew us cards. We kept looting. And we had nowhere to go from there. And all of our soft counters were soft counters by the end of the game just because we couldn't maintain them. Opponent knew if they tapped out they were going to die, and we had interaction up. We just couldn't get Kiki Jiki to be drawn. That's very painful. I don't even know. Like, most of our deck is very low to the ground. We can win on turn 2. Just not seeing those. It might be wrong to not have 4 Kiki Jikis in the deck, but you can typically find them pretty fast and easily. Fortunately, not a lot of life gain in blue or red. Would have to splash for that. Going back to the deck from 2011, they have Dismembers, Deprives, EE, Spellskite. They're paying Phyrexian mana like nothing else. Very painful mana bases. 2-for-1s. Like, maybe the number of Dispels main board are just needed. Alright, well, what do we have here? Izzet Charm is card disadvantage, but we need to see 1 of 5 cards and 1 of 6 cards. I think we can have a better sculpted hand. That's not it, but it's close enough. Don't need another As for Told. And looks like Storm? Upkeep Stop reads more like Control, but Control typically wants check lands, not fast lands. So Scalding Tarn here was that we could play the Lightning Bolt. We do have a turn 2, turn 3 drop. Yep, definitely Storm. I think they're looking for a Mana Dork here. An Electromancer or a Baral. It seems like a weird cycle. They might potentially go into a gifts, but okay. I don't know what opponent's doing. Typically, you start chaining these off when you know what you want to do with it. I'm fully on board for Remand and/or Is It Charm, though. Especially if this is a ritual into a gifts. Faithless Looting, it's the Phoenix deck. So they thought they were going to be able to go off next turn with the Arclight Phoenixes, and they weren't able to hit it. That makes more sense. Lightning Bolt us. Lightning Bolt us. Alright, so they're committing a lot of their hand into these two Arclight Phoenixes. I'm just going to Bolt one and probably Is It Charm. I think I'm on Is It Charm here, and then I'll have Remand and Bolt up for next turn, or just run out the As Foretold. As Foretold feels like it's going to be a stronger play, as we'll be able to start getting our... We'll be able to stop making land drops and potentially try to fuel our graveyard. Going to 10 here isn't great. They are a burn deck. Ooh, do I really want to take a shock? I wouldn't be able to bolt anyway, so... Let's just bolt now, and if they can commit to getting Phoenixes with 4 cards, then they'll get there. Just want to get my F6 value. If they can bring back the other Phoenix, we're probably dead anyway. Oh yeah, they couldn't do it this turn, so... Unless they have a gut shot. Of course, they always have it. I guess Faithless Looting and a fresh draw, we could actually draw and win. Nope. Alright, well, opponent doesn't actually know what we're doing yet, so we do have a little bit of advantage there. We're going to bring in Grafdigger's Cage. Dispel seems fantastic. We might get into a grind, so Chronos and Ral could be considerations. Remand is just horrible. Blood Moon's not great. Pestermite dies to Gut Shot. Then 2 cuts. Let's see an argument for an Is It Charm and a Ral and kind of just go split. On second thought, Ral will fill our graveyard. Ral's probably better than Chronos. So far tonight, taking a beating, though. All red decks. And so much of it has not been able to find pieces. We have so many pieces that dig and loot. Like, we should be able to get there. One of the strengths of the Goryo's deck is you do have another way to get Kiki back from the graveyard, so you can hardcast your Deceiver Exarch and then Living End Kiki. But being able to interact with your opponent should be a little bit better than forcing a third color and relying on a second reanimation card. Opponent is definitely tanking considering they have no idea what we're on. I saw an Is It Charm. We looked a lot like blue-red control there. So going back sequencing there, the Lightning Bolt would have been better to do at the attacker step. But they had everything they needed to bring it back anyway. We'd only be 3 points up and we'd have to go to next turn. So that's just one of those concessions you kind of have to make. I'm alright to keep this. We have a Faithless Looting as well as a top end. A lot of these lands in the Kiki are going to be recycled into something fresh. I do think opponent might be on the better Faithless Looting deck. But we still want to give it a running. And looks like we can ship those away pretty safely. We're going to want another Shockland here, so just running out the Flooded Strand. These are all going to come in untapped regardless, and we only have a 1-mana play. I'm a little tempted to dispel that, but I feel like I can do better. It looks like they're looking for their land drops here, but they didn't do anything to enable getting Phoenixes back, and I'd rather hit a Manamorphose when they're ready to commit for a big turn. Thing in the ice, not really that threatening. We're going to be hitting a point here anyway where we can probably just kill it with Ral. I don't know how we're drawing so many lands in a 21 land deck. Like, it might need to be lower than that considering how many looting effects we see. Just try to get a little bit more action. Hard casting the Arclight Phoenix, that's fine. So they're definitely on the slower play. They clearly don't think that they're going to be flipping Thing in the Ice anytime soon, so I'm just going to go after the Phoenix here. No follow-up plays. This is going to tell our opponent exactly what we're doing, which is a little unfortunate, but they're going to find out eventually if the Kiki didn't tell them. And where were you last turn, Ancestral? I've been wanting gas. I'll take the Electro Dominance and put the Scalding Tarn in the graveyard, and then that's going to set us up for a 4 damage Electro Dominance draw card if our opponent taps out. Ral did his job. I'm perfectly okay if he dies here. I'll be sad, but perfectly okay. On the Ascension plan, I thought they gave up on that. Alright, so I can also start... I think I might use Ral just to kill the Thing in the Ice. So we'll end up having Dispel back up here. So we'll hit you for 2. Oh, our opponent's F6'd. Alright, well, 5 cards in graveyard. Take out Titty. And Arclight can kill Ral, so I'm going to hold up the Bolt. Or they just have the Bolt. Yay, Ral lives another day. Alright, we are getting there. So if we have a Deceiver Exarch up here, we don't, but we'll take the Faithless Looting. May have been better to Serum there. And wow, so many lands. Alright, that can go on top, that can go on bottom. And we'll be drawing the win condition next turn, so I'm good to ship this over to opponent. We'll even have a mana up for Dispel if we do it in step. As far as Pyromancer's Ascension going online, yeah, that's fine. Funny enough, I can actually flash back Faithless Looting and go for the Living End kill. Alright, As foretold, definitely in hand. So that's the as foretold. Opponent's f6, so flashback Faithless Looting. Discard and discard. Cast with Living End. Untap Kiki. Kiki make a copy of Deceiver Exarch. There we go. Alright, opponent did not put up any fight there. I forgot that they're on Titty. Lightning Axe is going to be able to kill that and allowing us to discard a card. Seeing as they're on Pyromancer's Ascension, Grafdiggers is looking significantly less appealing. Opponent does know what we're on, though, so they're going to have a better boarded plan for us. It's going to take a lot of commitment for them to kill a Ral, though. Yeah, this all feels fine. Not spectacular, but fine. On the plus side, we actually get to run counter magic. Their deck can't because of the steep requirement of being able to cast multiple cards in a turn. This is a board clear, and I think that's enough reason to keep it. So if they commit to a Titty, I can just Living End off the As Foretold. If they get an Arclight, I can just bolt it. I have enough to interact with them at the start, and we should be able to take it long term. Fireman's Research. They are going deep. Alright, let's go get a Steam Vents, and then I actually probably need to reread this. So whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, put a charge counter on it. Remove 2 charge counters, draw a card. Remove 5 charge counters, 5 damage to any target. Alright, well, still holding up is a charm. Unfortunately, only 1 bolt, but that's kind of fine. And let's see if they brought in counter magic, because if not, Ancestral is going to be awesome. Okay. Going to town over there. Wow, 3 Manamorphose. They would have had a fantastic hand if they were on any of their creatures. And they had the negate. Alright. I'm kind of impressed. I'm impressed, Baxter. I'm not even mad. Opponent's cashing out, so they clearly don't have anything else going on. Alright, so what do I actually want to do here? I can only bolt once. I can only Izzet Charm once. If I Electro Dominance into Ancestor... I can't even Electro Dominance, I need another red. So I think I'm just passing with Lighthouse up, or potentially Izzet Charm or Lightning Bolt, but none of those sound great. This deck and its lands, I have no freaking clue what's going on. The ratio's not right, but it shouldn't be this wrong in both directions. Alright, well, if opponent's trying to interact, they're going to have a little difficulty when all we're doing is looting off of a land. We are kind of happy just to get rid of a bolt here. And Sarum want to find a land. There's one. I don't need another Ancestral. I don't have very many enablers. I'm actually quite happy with the Deceiver Exarch. And now I have a couple of options. Still, unfortunately, no Electro Dominance with Izzet Charm. Yep, don't really care about Bolt. This is giving them another angle that they can start getting card advantage from and actually compete with us on that level. It's a little frustrating, but an opponent's not really doing much. And I want a red source here, so I'm still going to go looting. I know I have Deceiver Exarch on top. It's actually going in the bin. If I find Kiki Jiki fast enough, I'm probably just going to be able to win on the spot when I actually trigger that. Alright, so what's the worst that happens here? I go for Ral. I can't kill a thing in the ice. They flip two of them, hit me for 14, and bolt me. Yep, so that's not happening yet. I think I'm just shipping it back. Everything else I want to do is instant speed, so... I'd love another mountain by the time I commit for this, though. Okay. I'm actually just going to do this now. And then... I don't have any reason to hold it up, so... Perfect. Lightning axing? Alright, that's fine. Alright, so opponent has one card in hand. They can act or fire mines. They'd go for 3. I think I'm just on the draw plan. I'll just swarm them in card advantage. Hey, look at that. So good at this game. So none of their arc lights are coming back. When we finally decide to Living End, we should take the win. This is going to be annoying, but I think we're going to win the card advantage war. We're also going to have an active As Foretold, so we should start winning the mana war. That could potentially be a problem, though. Oh, I should have... Oh, Izzet Charm wouldn't have done anything. Yeah, it would have. I'm bad at this game. Oh well, we should get an active Ral before their Pyromancer's Ascension starts actually doing anything to us. That was missequencing. I should have run out the Flooded Strand first. They can't do anything about that. Like, Dispel wouldn't be able to hit it. Spell Snare wouldn't hit it, but it's still bad sequencing. Would rather have the mana there. Alright, so I'll take the Kiki. No, I actually want to take the Izzet Charm, because then that way I have the combo in the graveyard. Then before they get an opportunity to do anything, gonna fetch. Life total is getting low enough with the Pyromancer's Ascension and the Firemind's Research. Need to actually be aware this can hit me for 5, and an active Bolt will end up hitting me for 6. And even if I counter these spells, they're both going to get counters, so there's no reason for me to try to do anything about that. And I can't automatically yield to them, otherwise I can't respond to a spell before they get the counter. It's better if they're about to get these active to be able to interact with the first spell and try to chain the counter war. Yep, Faithless Living doesn't do anything. Ooh, Ral would have been a really fun one for doubling season. Alright, so I can cast this with As Foretold, but I have to discard a card or pay 6. So I'm going to discard Bolt. I believe it's the least effective card on this board state. A lot of the Arclight Phoenixes are just not a problem, and they can also be handled by Izzet Charm. We are playing against Storm, but we are playing a Living End list with Kiki-Jiki and Deceiver Exarch. Oh, sorry, we're not playing against Storm. We're playing against Blue Red Phoenix. I don't know what I'm thinking. It's actually been a long week. Alright, I want the Bolt at this point. Run out our land. And I can go for the win and start chaining these Izzet Charms. That actually might be correct. Just because if we see a Living End, we're just going to win on the spot. Our opponent doesn't have Pyromancer's Ascension active yet. And I haven't seen any Faithless Lootings. Like, I don't know what's going on. I feel like I'm not seeing... Oh, I wasn't supposed to do that with As Foretold. Oh, well, I have Dominance. Get rid of... Actually, I might hardcast that Kiki. So, Faithless Looting and Bolt. And I think that means ship it back to opponent. I can activate Lighthouse at end step if I don't have to kill something. Yep, so Pyromancer's Ascension is active. And opponent's going deep looking for gas. Alright, so opponent's getting double Izzet Charm. They're going to draw 4, discard 4. It looks like they actually took a decent number of their arc lights out. They put Crackling Drakes in. Fun. Alright, so going to go for the Living End at instep. In the meantime, activate Ral, start posing him as a threat so they actually have to deal with him. I'll definitely take the Ancestral. Cast with As Foretold, go up to 6. Yeah, opponent just drew 4, discarded 4, and they went to 1 card in hand. Oh, I can just go for the one here, and then if it doesn't work, actually Living End for it. I had the feeling I need my mana since I've already used As Foretold, so untapping a land. See if you've got the bold opponent. Yes, you do. So first one's going at Kiki, second one's going to Ral, I'm assuming. Both to Kiki? That's fine. And then I can use As Foretold to free cast Electro Dominance at their end step. They always have the bolt. But like he had to spend all of his cards to bolt, and he didn't even hit Ral, so I can't imagine that we're in that much trouble here. If I would have correctly tapped, I would have actually been able to just go for the win here. Instead, we'll have to do it at end step. Yep, that goes away. Well, they actually do get to draw 2 this time. But they have to find another lightning bolt, and they've seen 2 of them. I guess Izzet Charm could actually kill Kiki or Deceiver Exarch. If they actually chain enough, they can Fire Mind's Research Ral, but they need to get... Oh yeah, they should be able to do that. But if that's how they're investing their full turn, like, we just have the win. Funny enough, if I milk this, I actually might just be able to mill them out. That's probably safer than letting them flip in a couple of Thing in the Ices and Arclight Phoenixes. There's a Crackling Drake. And they don't seem to be respecting Ral here. Actually, I might wait. Ral is whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, and I'm going to be able to cast 3 of them. 4 of them with the As Foretold. I'll just be able to kill them if they don't go after Ral. If they go after Ral, that's my chance to actually Electro Dominance. My combo is haste anyway, so if they let me go to Ral, we're good. Hello, Ral Emblem. And that's game. Unfortunately, didn't win with Kiki Jiki, but it does show the power of the deck. Bottom, bottom. Don't need more lands. Yep, there it is. Alright, so showed Blue-Red Phoenix what was up. We were able to interact with their game plan. Big Red, I honestly think we should have obliterated that matchup. Like, we even run Blood Moons. They just shouldn't have had the opportunity to go off that long. We just didn't see any of our combo pieces in the first half of our deck. Burn, again, we went 30 cards deep, and we were able to keep remanding our opponent, but it only matters so much when they can go off that hard. Like, when we give them enough time to draw additional cards, they're pretty deterministic. We need some sort of life gain. We should have easily had that. We had the counter spells. If we ever saw a Kiki, we just would have won on the spot. So that's super unfortunate. I do think we were favored in those 2 matchups, but them's the beats. Blue-Red ended up, like, they got a really quick kill on us, and they didn't know what we were playing, and they boarded, and they got beat pretty handedly, and then they tried to turn into Storm, and they were bad Storm. Like, not that the player was bad, but when you're playing Fire Mind's Research in Modern, you're probably just a little bit too slow. Our Ral was just able to grind them out just as hard as them, like, trying to put all their combo pieces together. And I like this hand. So we have Faithless Looting, we have a couple of lands, we have stuff to pitch, we have ways to enable our cheating stuff. Opponent mulliganed pretty quick. They're trying to figure out if they want to go to 5. Typically, when opponents mulliganing that quick, it's either just no lands, or if they're trying to figure out if they can go off with Tron and or Dredge or something along those lines. Big Red also has a habit of doing that. But we're going to look like we are Mono Red Phoenix here to start. until we discard Kiki Jiki and a land. And let's see what opponent's on. They went down to 5 and scryed to the top. And opponent's on some fair strategy. So that's looking pretty good for us, especially because we found a Blood Moon. Yay! Probably going to cheese them out next turn. Alright, so getting my island here because of the Blood Moon. Oh, I couldn't. Okay, well, I guess I can't Electro Dominance here. That was a misstep. We had to have the island, though, so there's only so much that we could do. Alright, so they are on something Abzan, which means this Blood Moon should do some work. Nyx Fleece Ram, looking like a prison? No, it's a Doran. Oh yeah, this Blood Moon's just going to win the game. So they won't be able to cast anything, and we'll eventually get our combo off. And they won't be able to discard a hand size because they mulligan so low. This almost doesn't feel fair. We'll see if they have a basic. Alright, so it is definitely Doran. Doran is a tree folk. And they have Spellskite. Fun. So what this deck is trying to do is run out Doran, potentially the new Arcades, or Soul Formation. Each creature assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than power. Of note, he is a tree folk, which is why their land here is Reveal a Tree Folk. But they're not going to have a lot going on, and we're going to fuel our hand and do fun stuff. We got a second bullet. Alright, well that's a good thing to discard a Faithless Looting next turn. Yep. Alright. So that wasn't even remotely fair. His Ecstatic Caster is going to be horrible in this matchup, as everything's going to have at least 4 toughness, more than likely. Lightning Axe seems like it's going to shine here. Deals 5 damage to a creature. We should be able to snag some stuff. Given what I've seen so far, they're probably a collected company list, so Dispel is definitely on my radar. I think we're going to be doing stronger things, and as long as we make sure to save our targeted removal for the things that actually matter, we'll probably be fine. Ral is probably going to be better than Remand? No, Remand will keep him off of doing anything for a couple of turns, then we should just combo off. But if it does go a little bit late, Ral should at least be able to ping some of the blockers or giant things. I don't know, he just might be too slow. They are technically an aggro deck, but they're a combo aggro deck that relies on one of like 12 different pieces depending on how their deck is built. It might just be Lightning Axe over a Lightning Bolt. That feels fine. And then we'll see if they go get basics this go around. Hey, we got our Blood Moon. Living End is actually quite cute here. It'll clear their board. I believe we'll find something. If not, we do have Lightning Axe to take out Doran, so we shouldn't be under pressure for a moment. So this hand's looking keepable. Murmuring Bosk reveals Harbinger. Alright. So that's going to go tutor up Doran. Again, though, 0-3, they could potentially just go get their basic forced with this. Depends on how badly they're expecting Blood Moon. One of the things I really do like about Goryo's As Foretold is I have 2 Simian Spirit Guides in my list. It typically lets us speed some stuff out. So like a turn 2 Blood Moon would probably just make it so that they can't slam Doran and then we'll win. And unfortunately I have to get Steam Vents here. I need both my colors and I don't have a second land yet. But discarding the combo seems pretty good, and then that way I just need an Electro Dominance off the top, or an As Foretold and a land, and I should win. Alright, so opponent had a Plains and an Inquisition, so they're probably taking Blood Moon here. It's possible they take Lightning Axe because it's one of the few ways I can interact with Doran after he lands next turn, but I'll likely be remanding him anyway. Blood Moon's going to definitely interrupt their plan. I do respect opponent's spice level, though. This is a very, very fringe deck. A lot of people have tried to build it. There's different builds with like Mardu Ascendancy that can be a turn 3 kill. Yep, they took the Blood Moon. But I haven't seen anything from opponent I genuinely care about yet. I know I'm getting an island here, definitely going to put it in opponent's mind that we potentially have another Blood Moon coming. And they know we have the remand, but Doran can't hit the field, otherwise we'll start taking damage. Oh, not cool, opponent, not cool. Alright, so Bojuka Bog's going to exile our graveyard, which did have our combo in it. We can rebuild. Especially if opponent does not even remotely pressure us. Birds of Paradise is fine. Of note, I actually should have held the fetch land if I wasn't going to do anything, because I couldn't have cast Electro Dominance if I top decked it. Alright, so Graveyard Strategy is off. They are packing all the graveyard hate. And I'm cycling Remand here. It would probably be better just to kill him, but, well, they're tapped out. I really want to redraw, though. That works. So I'll at least be able to clear their board. Land? Is it Charm? Alright, so if I run out As Foretold here and they rerun Doran, I'm on the table for 4. But they would know that I have the Living End coming. This is interesting. I could always just Living End here and then expect to Lightning Axe next turn. Although the Living End being a one-sided board clear feels pretty sweet. I think I'm just going to hold up. They don't need to know that we drew away to cast the Living End. They just know right now that their current board state needs to be monitored, otherwise I'll end up clearing it. Alright, not getting in with the Birds of Paradise. Okay, they are. Alright, so Lightning Axe, discard a card. We'll get rid of a Living End. Keep the Doran off the table, see if they have a backup plan. But meanwhile, I'm happy just buying time. I actually might just want to run out this As Foretold because it's going to allow me to start free casting some of the bigger things. And we know we're not going to be able to use our graveyard. You can see if they brought Enchantment Hate too. If they did, it probably means they overboarded. They ended up bringing in Bojuka Bog and Nihil Spellbomb and just a whole suite of Graveyard Hate and Enchantment Hate. Alright, they have the other Doran. So currently on the table for 4, then we're sacking the board. They'll have a Doran on the table. Seeing Doran just makes me think I have potential commander damage kill on the table. Darn you, Kyle. Alright, well, I know I'm going to be casting the Living End, so I'm going to see if I can put anything in the graveyard and eat the Spellbomb. There's a Kiki-Jiki and the land. Then cast with As Foretold. They'll still end up with a Doran, but we'll be on a 3-turn clock and deal with their current board state. Ooh, they didn't. Alright. I'm not going to lick a Gift Horse in the mouth. If I had a Deceiver Exarch, we'd probably just win there. Unless they have a path. Well, as much as I want to land, that's not going to happen. I really want to Steam Vents, but that'll take us 2 hits from Doran. No attacks. Alright, there's a Nyx Fleece Ram. So we're basically on a 2-turn clock now. It doesn't matter. That actually thins our deck a little bit. I think I want Mountain. That'd only be to hardcast Kiki-Jiki. I think another island's fine. And we have 5 top decks. Remand is a little interesting. We're already on the table to die, though. Bolt's not going to kill anything. I can Bolt and then Remand, though. Draw another card. That might be correct. No, I actually need to put this onto the bottom, cast Living End, and then Remand it. So hold Control, cast with As Foretold, Remand it. And I need to do it. Yeah. It's tricky. Oh, another Lightning Bolt. Alright. So this at least allows me to kill Doran. I'll be at 1 life, but it allows me to kill Doran. And opponent has no cards in hand, which means I'll just be looking at Nyx Fleece Ram until the end of time. Alright. What do I get? Is it Charm? Alright, I think that puts me on Faithless Looting. And if I cast a Living End, I'm just going to die. I guess I don't need the land, so Living End might have a little more priority. So this is one of the oddest things I've seen with this deck. So we have 32 cards left in our deck. We have 5 things that untap. We have several... Ooh, boy. That can kill us. Alright. But we have several things that draw and loot, and I cannot seem to get a win condition. So do I want to Is It Charm here? Is It Charm's not going to kill the lion. I think I just have to loot and look for an out. And then, funny enough, if I find Electro Dominance Living End, I can Living End, and then when they crack the Spell Bomb, Living End at instant speed. Or not. Alright, well that does buy me another turn. Just a single turn, though. And unfortunately, they're going to crack the Nihil Spell Bomb. So that means they'll get an additional draw. Oh, if I kept a land, I actually could have just killed the lion without dominancing. That wasn't what I meant to click, but alright. I was going to shoot them for 2. Yeah, that was a misplay. I could have killed the lion here and actually had a couple of turns. Yep. So I don't actually believe I have an out here. I'm trying to think of what it would be. It'd have to be like a... I'd have to draw an Is It Charm and draw into Kiki-Jiki and Deceiver Exarch with a Living End as the final card. Which means I have to have 3 very precise cards to do anything here. Yeah, that won't do it. Wow, beat by Tree Folk. Ral's looking a lot more interesting. They had a lot of sideboard hate. Kronos won't do anything. He has Bolt and draw a card. Blood Moon still feels like one of our best outs. Lightning Axe is great. Regular Bolt doesn't seem that good. Neither does Is It Charm. Maybe just split on both, snag birds, or potentially loot. If we had an active Ral, we could just shoot down Doran every time he hit the table. A Braid might have been a... Yeah, I actually think I like a Braid more than Bolt. If opponent hasn't boarded yet, we're bringing it in. That can hit a Spell Bomb and allow us to start setting up. Well, this is drawn to a land and Living End, and we could potentially have a turn 1 kill. I'm always a little more inclined to keep these just because Faithless Looting is going to let us see 3 cards before our next draw step. Well, 3 cards with our next draw step. We also have the Blood Moon and a potentially very fast kill. Alright, well that's a little sketch, but at least we have another Faithless Looting for next turn. Do you have a basic forest? And a birds of paradise? Alright, opponent's on the discard plan again. To be fair, that did actually snag us last time. They do not like Blood Moon. Alright, so As Foretold goes away. I think Electro Dominance goes away. As much as I like the instant speed win, we're just not going to get there. Remand will help us cycle. As Foretold will at least let us get our engine going. If they have a Bog, I'll be sad. We have 2 Faithless Lootings in there, but we'll be able to rebuild unlike last time. They took the Remand? I wonder if they brought in Rex Sage or Knight of Autumn. Alright, so they're going to go get Doran. And this means next turn is Living End after taking beats for 3. This isn't even Doran. I'm confused. Oh, okay, that's fair. Living End's still going to get you next turn. Hopefully you run out Doran too. We'll take beats for 7, go to 10, and then you probably won't be able to recover. Pulse. Alright. So opponent went really deep on the sideboard hate. I think they're trying to hit our land. Tarn is fine. Unfortunately, we had 2 pieces of card disadvantage, and then they had 3 pieces of removal. Yeah, I don't really care what's in my graveyard at the current moment. I am going to crack this, though, because it does set us up to win. And this is one of those moments when Bolt Snap Bolt would be very good. It would put our opponent on the back foot, and all this damage that they're taking would end up just wrecking them. Alright, so unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to combo like this. So I think I'm going to Deceiver Exarch during their upkeep and tap down a land so they can't Doran. And then if we actually find a Blood Moon, we're just going to win. But Deceiver Exarch's going to be able to profitably block. If they path it for us, who cares? Got a path out of their hand. This means no Doran, buys it for another turn, then we're just a land and a Kiki away from winning. And I don't believe they got any Kikis yet. Nope. An Ancestral to suspend, a Serum to set up. All these sound great. We also do need to start leaving a card in hand for looting effects. We need to make one more land drop, then the rest can go away. They're ghost quartering their own land? Yeah, they ghost quartered Murmuring Bosk so that they can run out Doran. So the clock is on. And unfortunately, we won't have enough for Lightning Bolt either. Or for Lightning Axe. Well, let's see. So we're on the table for 9, which means we have to draw a Kiki. Okay, well, Deceiver Exarch's just going to eat the Harbinger. We're going to go to 1 and then hopefully top deck a Kiki. Funny enough, that's lethal in air. Yes, please thin our deck for us. That'd be so kind of you. Faithless Looting's not going to cut it. We can at least see if we can draw into like a Lightning Axe. No, we're going to discard it. Yep, there's a Kiki Jiki. Shouldn't have looked. Alright, well, that was super unfortunate. I feel like we should be winning a lot of these games. We're just not seeing the cards. We were... Do I still have it up? No, I don't. We were through the vast majority of our deck again, and we still only saw the one Kiki Jiki after the Bolt. That is something that the Goryo's As Foretold deck does. Again, Grizzlebrand will draw you 7 cards, and you'll eventually draw into what you need to do. Losing versus Tree Folk Tribal is super disappointing. I don't know why you guys have been so hard to find. How many was the old list running? 4 and 3, but they were all in on the strategy with like Spell Skites and Pact of Negations, and that might be the correct thing to do here. This all seems fine. I'm going to have Living End. Bolt any early plays, Living End to board away. The Duresses and Inquisitions are actually super, super good for our opponent. Looks like burn again. Nope. Phoenix deck? Lingering Soul? Oh, Marty Pyromancer. Alright, well, they're going to have a lot of removal for our stuff. On the plus side, though, we did get a Faithless Looting of our own. I think this one has to be a Steam Vents. Alright, so... Pastormite dies to a Lingering Souls token, and don't really need another Faithless Looting. I'm probably holding up Remand and Bolt next turn. I actually might need to save this Remand for the turn that I go off. As soon as I see a Kiki, I'm going to be able to Living End it. I'm going to have to be able to protect it, and they have a lot of removal. One of the advantages of Pyromancer over our deck that I'm noticing is like you can commit into a Lingering Soul so you don't have to go all into the strategy. Where like we go all in into Twin and then if they interrupt it we're a little screwed, but yep. So Living End's going away. Potentially as foretold. Unless they want to go in on Young Pyromancer, then it's going to be the Bolt. Yep, as foretold it is. So opponent knows about the Remand, which means they're probably going to play 1 mana spells. They do know about most of our hand, but I want to find a replacement free cast as well as a Kiki-Jiki. I think Serum's actually the correct call here. Then definitely want... Opponent's on Blood Moon, so I want an island. Oh, that was horrible, horrible timing. Whatever, that's fine. I don't expect to bolt anything the opponent does anyway. So I made a very rookie mistake. Serum Visions is draw a card, scry 2. I scryed. I wanted to keep the scry, but in order to do anything else, I had to cast a Serum. I had to crack the Scalding Tarn, messing up our scry. Yep, there's the Helix. There's the island that I wanted, and then probably going to flash into Deceiver Exarch at instep here. It's likely just going to be a blocker. Alternatively, I can bolt and remand. Reveler. I'm going to cycle the remand. They're going to be able to recast it, but it at least means that we're getting a card deeper. It also means if we draw the right stuff, we can just win. There's the Kiki-Jiki. Nope, that's not going to do it. Blood Moon could hemorrhage our opponent, but we didn't see our land. I seriously don't know what's going on with this deck and lands. Alright, I guess it's Bolt. We're going to take Beats for a turn, and then hopefully get an As Foretold or an Electro Dominance. Opponent must not be on Blood Moon. I think Nahiri ends up taking that slot. Is it right to bolt here? I actually think Faithless might be right here. Let's see, I'm going to be on the table for 3, and then they need to cast a bolt. Yeah, that's fine. Actually, the backup plan is Deceiver Exarch, so I think I do need to bolt it. Because then Deceiver Exarch can tap down Bedlam Reveler, they can't attack in with Young Peasy, and they won't have any tokens. So this should buy me a turn. Steam Vents. Unfortunately, most of their deck is red. So Faithless Looting it is. Discard these 2. I'm on the table for 2 damage anyway from Peasy, so see if they've got a Bolt and another spell with the Lingering Souls. Or 2 bolts, I guess. Would also do it with the Bedlam Reveler. Oh, that's going to do it. So I'm going to have to draw a living end and a way to cast it. If I do that off the Faithless Looting, I need to get it with exactly 2 cards because I have to play the land. So close. So close. Alright, so discard Kiki and Island. That means Sulfur Falls. And then tap down during combat. See if I get another step. I guess that... Oh, whoops. Didn't have the mana for it. We're good. Sorry, opponent. Didn't see it. Alright, so Lightning Axe can hit Bedlam Reveler. Grafdigger's Cage stops Lingering Souls. Is Ecstatic Caster is going to be our I win button. Destroy all tokens. These guys are a consideration just because they try to out-card advantage us. Negate seems good for Collective Brutality. Dispel for Bolt is a consideration, but that might be too high level. We have a lot we've got to cut anyway. Remand seem meh. I always seem to just trim on these guys anytime that I need to cut stuff. Bolt doesn't seem nearly as good as Static Caster. And I'll submit it like that. It feels like we're missing something in this deck. Like, the mana base has seemed off, but it feels like there's too much card disadvantage, or I needed to take the Blood Moons out. Oh well, might surprise the opponent. So we are only running 3 Kiki-Jiki, 3 Electro Dominance, and 3 As Foretold. We only need one of those at any given time to go off, but that might be low. I feel like I've been cycling Remand a lot and probably just need a hard counter. I'm going to suspend here. It's probably going to be a long game. Plus, I can't do anything with the Grafdigger's Cage on turn 1. Alright, this time I'm not going to mess it up. Let's go fetch. And Steam Vents is fine. Need the red sources just in case. Don't need more lands. Then they have Kolaghan's Command, which made me not want to bring in Grafdigger's Cage, but this stops a lot of what they're doing, so at least slows them down. They can't use the discard outlets for Lingering Souls anymore without just actually discarding the card. Besides, we might actually snag our opponent here if they tap out for something. Oh, they got a basic. Alright, let's see what they can do. They might be cut off with black. I would love a Static Caster here. Hey, look at that. Alright, I have to discard 2. That's probably Kiki. No, Kiki can clone the Static Caster. And we're making our next 2 mountain drops more than likely. So, Ancestral and probably the Scalding Tarn. And then I don't want Young Peasy to make more tokens, so he's just going to die here. They're probably going to bolt it on their upkeep. Well, their turn, but that's worth it in my opinion. It's going to be a 2-for-1. Helix? Yep. Ancestral comes down. Looking for Deceiver Exarch. As Foretold is alright, don't want the lands though. Alright, so Bolt Math, we're currently on the table for 3, assuming that they don't have any burn spells, which they probably have. This is a 4-turn clock. If I hit it, it turns into 5-turn, but yeah, PZ's going down. Makes it easy. 4-turn clock is going to hurt, though. Alright, so what does this mean? My Graph Digger's Cage is making it so I can't flashback Faithless Looting. Oh, the synergies. So, 3-turn clock. Kiki's just gonna die. I don't want to give them 2 young Pyromancers, so gotta wait. Alright, there's Deceiver Exarch. So, what does that mean I want to do? I think that means I might want a Living End. And then Deceiver Exarch, tap down one of their Pyromancers. I think that's our best line. It prevents us from taking any damage. Yay, Static Caster, you're so good. Oh my gosh, I didn't cut it back to the game. Sorry about that. I seriously need to look at my dashboard more often. So, Living End brought back Static Caster and 2 Pyromancers, pinged them to death. As far as what we want now, Blood Moon definitely comes out. Not only will they be playing around it, but that list normally runs it anyway, so need to cut those. Ryle's looking a little tempting, probably not good enough. Kronos actually couldn't be killed by a lot of their removal. Maybe that just means Bolt comes back in? Bolt's not exciting, but killing a Pyromancer is going to help a lot. You even saw it last game. 2 Lingering Souls tokens and a Pyromancer token put us on a real clock. Pyromancer's a really good card. Alright, I guess this is fine. I'm expecting discard. There it is. Might be taking the Cage. Yeah, so they're on Lingering Souls. I was trying to figure out if we wanted to get a shock land or just potentially go get a basic. That's what that pause was. Flooded Strand can only get an island. Alright. As Foretold? Unless they want a Pyromancer, then it's probably Bolt. Electro Dominance is a good one. One more mana can take out a young Pyromancer. I think I'm just going to bolt this one. We did. This is a good enabler. I expected this, but they're going to get it regardless as long as the Pyromancer's out. This just forces the action. Well, there's Living End. Interesting. They're not respecting the Blood Moon. It's possible they have a basic in hand. 2 cards, though. Probably one's a Bedlam Reveler, and they're trying to ramp up to it. She costs 3 less. Grabbing an island just seems like the right choice. Should have gotten a mountain. Oh, well, that's fine. So, Kiki in the yard, still need a Deceiver Exarch. The second copy is probably pointed at Pyromancer, though. We'll see if they commit anything else. I'm expecting an in-step bolt. Nope. Leyline. A little late for that. Alright, so 3 is a quarter of my life. So if I target Peasy with the Electro Dominance, then it's going to go to the graveyard and then get Living End back in. So just going to go for opponent. They'll get a Pyro back, but bought us time. Oh my gosh, I didn't cast the Living End. Some struggles tonight. Alright. So double bolt still gets us. This time. Alright, so Kiki on the table. Need Deceiver Exarch. Static Casters are right. I can't loot and Deceiver, so just going to do that while they're tapped out. And then, of note, the copies of Kiki can block pretty profitably. Bolt? Yep. Okay, so make a copy of Static Caster. Copy comes in. Last turn I could have flashback Faithless Looting. Got into Deceiver Exarch. All right. Want the second Reveler, makes sense. Then Static Caster token, free chump block. Ping peasy. Alright, we have a Serum Visions. Negate Bolt. Yeah, Bolt's not going to do anything here. Bolt Snap Bolt would be fantastic. No brutality for you. Another Reveler. Restock the hand, see if you get 2 bolts. It's not quite game yet. Although I don't think there's an out. We need the combo and it's not there. This Leyline hurt despite how late it came in. Alright. GG's opponent. So, the deck. 1 and 4, not great. There should be something here, I just don't know what it is yet. There are mana issues. Like, it felt like there are a lot of mana issues. Both getting too much and not getting enough. We have a lot of cantrips to try to cycle, but nothing like Opt where we get to look at it first and then put it away. Sleight of Hand's probably a consideration for this deck. Goryo's is also likely just a better version. Being able to put in Grizzlebrand is quite powerful, and cutting it out for remands and basically Blood Moon just doesn't feel good enough. Being able to Goryo's and Kiki for 2 mana versus trying to Living End off of 2 cards, actually, on paper, that even sounds better. It's not quite what Twin used to be. There are a lot of times I wanted that main board Dispel. If we go back to the deck over here, we have Spellskite to make sure that we can redirect stuff. We end up having 2 Dispels main board, a Disrupting Shoal, Pact of Negation. If we're about to go off, we actually just might want Pact of Negation, because we should win if we stop their interaction. We can cast this for 0. Yeah, there's something here. I didn't actually play Splinter Twin back in the day, but it was... You need some tempo plan. If you have to back out of the combo, you could go with Bolt, Snap, Bolt. You could go with just random beats with the Pestermite, the 2-1 in the air. The evasion made it so that you could get the hits in. This is just all in on the combo, and the combo relies on the graveyard. So if we get an alternate win condition, Ral didn't exactly cut it there. We don't have room for Chronos. And we had a lot of card disadvantage. The card disadvantage was the worst part. We'd Faithless Looting and then get Duressed, and we're just down 2 cards that cost our opponent 1. The instant speed is nice in Electro Trickery. It's probably, we just need 4 Electro Trickeries and possibly less Asvertolds. The times that Living End was just a blank card in our hand was a little rough. Spellskite also probably needs to be in here. The number of bolts after Kiki today were really, really high. Would have saved from the path against the Treefolk deck, and Dispel would just make it so that the creature survives when you go for it. I don't know what to cut, though. It's probably Serum Visions, Remand. The old list didn't need to have the enablers, so we're also down however many Asfertolds or Electro Dominances we have, as well as Living End. Living In could probably be considered the actual Splinter Twin card. So 8 less spots in deck, more reliant on Graveyard. Graveyard hates a thing. Yeah, it's probably not the best, but still had fun playing it. It's really nice when you're able to just combo at instant speed on their end step. I don't think we did that tonight, but it's one of my favorite plays in Goryo's. But yeah, that's the deck. Thanks everyone for watching.